Time is the most trusted illusion in your life. From the moment you're born, a clock begins ticking not in the sky, but in your mind. Seconds, minutes, hours, days and nights, deadlines, birthdays, anniversaries. Each one whispering the same lie. You are running out. But ask yourself, what is a minute? A rotation of a hand on a dial? A flicker on a digital screen? Or is it just a story we've all agreed to live by? Clocks do not measure time. They measure movement, the motion of gears, planets, and people. What we call time is just the language we use to make sense of change. The sun rises, the leaf falls, the child grows. So we label it past, present, future. But those are labels, not reality. There is no place where the past lives. You can't visit it. You can't touch it. It's a memory, and memories live in now. There is no such place as the future either. It's an idea, a projection, an imagined possibility, and even that imagining is happening now. We live in a society obsessed with schedules. Everything is measured, planned, predicted. Time has become a ruler, and we let it rule us. We're taught to be on time, ahead of time, to save time, kill time, beat time, manage time, like it's an enemy we must conquer. But time doesn't need to be conquered. It needs to be seen for what it is. And here's the secret. Clocks don't tick inside the soul. Deep inside, you felt it. Those moments where time stretches, bends, disappears. A kiss that felt like eternity. A dream that lasted hours and seconds. A memory that floods your body as if it's happening again. What happened to the clock then? It disappeared because it never existed. The illusion of time is the foundation of modern life. It's how we measure success, how we define age, how we track progress. But maybe it's not life we're measuring. Maybe it's how far we've drifted from the now. And the now? It's not a second. It's not a sliver of a moment. The now is infinite. It's the only thing that ever was, the only thing that ever will be. And the clock? It's just the sound the system makes to remind you to stay asleep. Before the ticking of clocks, there were the cycles. To our ancestors, time was not a line you walked. It was a circle you danced. The moon waxed and waned, the sun rose and fell, the seasons pulsed in rhythm. Everything breathed with the earth in, out, like a cosmic heartbeat. The Mayans didn't just measure time, they listened to it. Their calendars weren't made to mark appointments. They were cosmic mirrors, designed to align human consciousness with universal cycles. Each day carried a frequency, each number a vibration. Time wasn't passing, it was unfolding. In ancient India, time was called kala, not a straight path, but a wheel, yuga after yuga, world after world, a single cycle of creation, preservation, and destruction that echoed through eternity. They believed that even gods were subject to this grand cosmic rhythm. In this vision, the now was not a fleeting second, but a sacred intersection where karma met destiny, and eternity folded into the breath. The Egyptians saw time not as ticking forward, but as something that looped, folded, and returned. Their word for eternal life wasn't about endless time. It was about continuity, an eternal now, ever unfolding, ever returning. And then there was dream time, the Aboriginal understanding of existence. To them, the dreaming wasn't a myth or a memory. It was a timeless field, coexisting with our waking reality. The past wasn't behind. It was beneath. The ancestors didn't live in history. They were still walking with you, just outside the frame of your perception. These cultures weren't primitive. They were tuned. They understood what modern science is only beginning to whisper, that time is not fixed, not absolute, not real in the way we think. They didn't need atomic clocks or countdown timers. They had intuition. Sky, stars, silence. And with those tools, they mapped the cosmos more accurately than most of our machines. But then something changed. Linear time arrived with empire, with commerce, with control. Calendars replaced cycles. Schedules replaced seasons. We stopped listening and started counting. And in doing so, we forgot something vital. That time is not something we move through. It's something that moves through us. And when you begin to feel that, not think it, not believe it, but remember it, the world starts to bend. Moments stretch, dreams return. The ancient rhythm rises from beneath your skin and reminds you, you are not late, you are not early, you are right where eternity placed you. They told us science would explain everything, and maybe it has just not in the way they expected. Because the deeper science looks into time, the more it begins to vanish. Einstein once said, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." To him, time was not flowing, it was a dimension, like length, width, or height. We don't move through time. We're inside it like pages in a book. But here's the twist. Every page already exists. According to relativity, if you could move fast enough, near the speed of light, time would slow down. Two people living at different velocities would experience different lengths of a single minute. So, which one is real? In quantum physics, it gets even stranger. Particles separated by vast distances can affect each other instantaneously, as if distance and time doesn't exist between them. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But maybe it's not spooky. Maybe it's just proof that the clock we live by is a lie. And then there's the block universe theory, a model where all moments in time, past and future, already exist. You are not moving forward. You're simply experiencing a single frame in an infinite gallery. Your future self already is. Your past self never left. But the most radical idea of all? Some physicists now suggest that time is not fundamental at all. That at the base of reality, there is no clock, no before or after, only relationships between states, only information existing outside of time. And yet, even with all this, we still wake up to alarms. We still fear getting older. We still chase the future and run from the past. Because science may describe the truth, but only the soul can recognize it. Time is not real. It's just the story the brain tells the heart to make sense of movement. But movement doesn't need explanation. It needs presence. So why does time still feel so real? Because we've been trained to feel it, not through nature, through the system. But what happens when you stop believing in time, not intellectually, but emotionally? That's where we're going next. Time doesn't pass, you do. And the speed of that passage is determined by how awake you are. Have you ever noticed how fast time moves when you're distracted, scrolling endlessly, multitasking, rushing from task to task? And yet, in a moment of awe, silence, or deep presence, time slows or vanishes completely. A single second can stretch into eternity. A breath can hold an entire lifetime. This isn't imagination. It's consciousness shifting its relationship to time. To a child, summer feels endless. To an elder, years flash by, the same hours experienced through different levels of presence. And that's the secret. Time is not measured by clocks, but by awareness. In meditation, mystics report losing all sense of time, not because they're spacing out, but because they're tuning in. The more conscious you become, the more time begins to unravel. You realize the future is just a thought, the past is just a story, and the only place life actually happens is now. Not the now on your phone's lock screen, not the second between two emails, but the eternal, sacred now, the one beyond measurement, the stillness underneath all movement, the space between thoughts, between heartbeats, between breaths. This is the only time that's real, and yet most of humanity spends its life running away from it. We stay lost in tomorrow, haunted by yesterday, distracted in today, and the system profits from that. Because as long as you're disconnected from now, you're disconnected from yourself. You become programmable, predictable, controllable. But when you begin to anchor your awareness in the present, when you feel each moment as complete, when you no longer rush to the next thing, the illusion begins to crack. You stop running, and you begin remembering. Not just who you are, but what time really is. It's not a line, not a trap, not a rule. It's a mirror. And when you stop fearing your reflection, you start seeing through it. You were never meant to live just once. You feel it in your bones, that strange pull to a culture you've never visited, a language you've never spoken, a pain that doesn't belong to this lifetime and yet lives inside you. This is not déjà vu, this is soul memory. Because the soul doesn't think in calendars. It doesn't age. It doesn't die. It remembers. And what it remembers exists outside of time. In dreams, you slip through versions of yourself. In meditation, you glimpse lives you never lived, but somehow know. In moments of intense emotion, you feel something ancient awaken inside you. Why? Because the soul is not walking one path. It's walking many simultaneously. What if you were not a single identity, but a collection of selves? What if your past lives aren't in the past at all, just alternate layers of you, echoing in different dimensions? The Tibetan mystics called it the rainbow body, layers of awareness stacked like frequencies on a cosmic dial. Shamans say your spirit dreams across time, healing backward and forward. Quantum physics calls it the presting. Multiverse. Mystics call it you. We've been told reincarnation is a process. Live, die, repeat. But what if it's not about starting over? What if it's about remembering what's already happening? You don't go to the future. You shift into the version of you that already exists there. You don't relive the past. You resonate with its echo because it's still pulsing. And trauma? It gets passed not only through blood, but through energy, memory, soul scars, replaying across generations and incarnations until they're seen. The system tells you, you were born here, you die here, that's it. But the soul knows different. It knows this life is just a chapter, not the book. And you are not the character. You are the one holding the pen. Time doesn't carry the soul forward. The soul carries time within it. When you dream, when you heal, when you awaken, you are collapsing timelines, reclaiming fragments, remembering who you are across dimensions. And in doing so, you become what the world fears most, a human no longer bound by time. Time wasn't always a trap, it became one. Because once you understand how the matrix works, you realize that linear time is its core operating system. Schedules, calendars, age, retirement, alarm clocks, school bells, deadlines, expirations. This isn't just structure, It's spiritual infrastructure. We've been trained to believe time is linear. Birth, life, death, a road with a beginning, middle, and end. But that story isn't natural. It's designed. Empires needed it to plan conquests. Banks needed it to charge interest. Corporations needed it to measure productivity. Religions needed it to promise salvation later. Governments needed it to control the now by making you afraid of the future. Because if you fear the future, you'll obey in the present. Time is the perfect control system. You can't see it, but you feel it constantly. You're never on time. You're either late, early, or running out. So what do? You rush. You chase goals, accomplishments, identities. You try to beat the clock, prove your worth, delay the inevitable. And in doing so, you become a slave, not to a ruler, but to a metaphor. Linear time keeps you disconnected from intuition. It turns your body into a machine. It makes rest feel like failure. It makes aging feel like decline. It makes presence feel like waste. And worst of all, it makes you forget that you are eternal. Because if they can convince you that life is short, they can sell you urgency. If they can sell you urgency, they can sell you anything. Time in the Matrix isn't measured, it's monetized. And every time you check the clock, you're not checking time, you're checking permission. Is it okay to rest now? Have I done enough? How much longer until I can feel free? But freedom doesn't live in hours, it lives in awareness. And once you realize the Matrix runs on time, you begin to see the glitch. The clock on the wall is not counting down your life, it's counting down your compliance. And when you stop counting with it, when you stop obeying its rhythm, you don't just rebel against the system. You start to hear your true rhythm beneath it. There is a fear you carry, even if you never speak its name. It wakes you in the middle of the night. It hides in your to-do lists. It whispers when you're resting. You don't have enough time. This isn't just anxiety, it's programming, and its name is chronophobia, the fear of time itself. But you weren't born afraid of time. You were taught to fear it. From childhood, you're measured. How old are you? Can you read yet? Are you ahead or behind? Every year, your value is recalculated. In school, bells tell you when to speak, think, move, stop. By adulthood, you've internalized it. You don't need a bell anymore. Your own thoughts discipline you. You rush not because you're late, but because you're afraid of being late, afraid of missing something, afraid of falling behind, afraid of being forgotten. And here's the most sinister part. The system created time pressure so you'd never feel the present. The more you fear time running out, the less time you spend in yourself. Chronophobia isn't just fear of aging, it's fear of not doing enough, fear of not being enough, fear of being too late to become who you're meant to be. But who told you there's a deadline on becoming? Who made you believe your value diminishes with every birthday? Who convinced you that the past defines you and the future is your only chance at redemption? Look deeper and you'll see it. Your fear of time is profitable. It sells beauty products, diet plans, certifications, quick fixes, spiritual bypasses. It sells urgency, and urgency sells obedience. The more you chase time, the less you question the chase itself. But what if that fear isn't yours? What if it was implanted generation after generation to keep you running in circles? Because a soul trapped in the fear of time will never sit still long enough to wake up. Chronophobia is not natural, it's engineered, but presence is your rebellion. And when you face the fear, not run from it, but truly sit with it, you begin to feel something deeper underneath. Not the pressure of passing time, but the infinite stillness that's always been there, waiting. There is only one place where life ever happens. Not in the future you fear, not in the past you replay, but here, now, the present moment. It sounds simple, almost too simple, so simple that the mind resists it, because the mind is addicted to elsewhere, always reaching, always remembering, always escaping. But the soul is still. It doesn't run forward or backward. It breathes, and it waits for you to return. The present isn't a moment, it's a portal, the only place where truth lives, the only place where the illusion of time collapses. Have you ever been so immersed in a moment that everything else vanished? A song, a kiss, a view, a breath. Suddenly, no clock, no thought, no self, just presence. And it wasn't boring, it was infinite. Because presence doesn't shrink time, it expands you. It's not the second hand slowing down, it's you stepping out of the clock altogether. This is why mystics, yogis, sages, and saints all say the same thing in different ways. Be still and know. Enter the kingdom within. Be here now. I am. Not because the now is a productivity hack, not because it'll make your day better, but because the now is where you are beyond identity, beyond memory, beyond fear. And the more time you spend in the present, the more you realize something strange. You don't spend time at all. Time spends you when you're unconscious. But when you return to the now, you begin to remember how to live without being spent. The now doesn't rush, it doesn't run, it doesn't break. It just is. And that's the deepest secret. The present moment is eternity in disguise. You were never meant to live in countdowns. You were meant to live in communion. Here, now, always. There comes a moment on the path, quiet, subtle, undeniable, when you stop asking, "What time is it?" and instead wonder, "Why do I care?" And in that moment, something shifts. The illusion breaks. Not with fireworks or fanfare, but with stillness. You feel it first in your nervous system, a soft unwinding, a deep exhale. Suddenly, you're no longer chasing the next thing. You're in the thing, fully, wholly, timelessly. You begin to realize the future isn't waiting for you. It's being written by you, in real time, right now. You stop looking at age as a curse. You stop measuring your value by milestones. You stop comparing yourself to timelines that were never meant for you. The body relaxes. The breath deepens. You move slower, not from laziness, but from sovereignty, because you're no longer sprinting toward approval. You say no without guilt. You rest without shame. You begin to notice things you forgot how to see: the wind, the weight of light, the texture of silence. And perhaps the most radical shift? You stop being afraid of endings. Because when you live outside of time, you know there are no endings, only transitions. Death is no longer a deadline, it's a doorway, and behind it is another room of now. You stop asking how long something will last. Instead, you ask, how deep can I feel it while it's here? Time no longer holds you. You hold it, gently, playfully, temporarily, like a tool, not a tyrant. You begin to live like a mystic, not in robes or temples, but in awareness, in choice, in presence. You laugh more. You age less. You feel the pulse of eternity behind every ordinary moment. And you know, truly know, that freedom was never about doing more in less time. It was about realizing. Time doesn't bind you. Belief in time does. And once that belief dissolves, so does the fear, so does the pressure, so does the noise. What remains? You, eternal, unrushed, unwritten, alive. There's a reason you've always felt out of sync with the world. A reason clocks made you anxious, calendars felt heavy, deadlines drained your spirit. It's because your soul never agreed to linear time. It was conditioned into you. You came from a place before time, a space beyond measurement. And deep down, you've always remembered that rhythm, the one without tick or tock, the one that doesn't move forward, but moves inward. And now you're returning to it, not by abandoning your life, but by re-entering it differently. You stop racing. You start listening. You wake up and don't rush to check the hour, because your first question isn't, "What time is it?" It's, "How do I feel in this moment?" You walk outside and notice the birds don't rush, the trees don't chase goals, the stars don't apologize for taking 1,000,000 years to shine. They just are. You begin to live like that. You allow life to unfold like a flower, not a factory. You begin to value depth over speed, presence over performance, truth over timelines. You don't resist time. You dissolve the idea that you're its prisoner. And in doing so, you return. Return to the original rhythm, the rhythm of breath, wave, pulse, soul, the rhythm of universe before clocks were invented. You realize you're not behind, you're not late, you're not running out. You're exactly where you were always meant to be in the eternal now. And the beauty of this realization? You don't need to try, you don't need to believe, you don't need to do anything. You only need to remember. Because the truth isn't in the future. It's not buried in the past. It's alive in this breath, right now, right here, always. Welcome back to timelessness.